Would you believe me if I told you that the whole court scene we saw last week was a well-planned lie? What if the man pretending to be the victim had been influencing events from behind the scenes all along? Hold on tight, for Bambi just broke. The stillness and what she said is not only startling but also hazardous. She came to expose, not to weep, and her words have the power to totally upend the hip-hop and love game. But she's not merely retaliating. She's presenting proof that Stevie J allegedly lied under oath and tarnished her reputation, hide his own dubious activities. Consider whether you're prepared to hear the truth that Bambi was never meant to reveal before you scroll. By the time the sun rose, it had grown from a whisper to a full-fledged media frenzy. After months of silence during which her name has been plagiarized online, Bambi has finally spoken up and shared what she recently disclosed. Not even Mama D, Stevie J, or the entire legal system, which is currently embroiled in what could be the messiest reality TV fallout of the decade, are safe, let's say. Bambi has been ridiculed on the internet for apparently being the architect behind Little Scrappy's demise, but there was something even more nefarious going on behind closed doors. According to reports, Stevie J, who has made news for everything from business frauds to love triangles, was acting as the puppet master. Bambi believes he wasn't merely stirring things up. He was fabricating testimonies, inserting false information into court documents, and painting Bambi as a villain for a crime she says she never did. Mama D, as usual, couldn't avoid the drama for months, and it's a family feud so nasty that it makes the Kardashians look like the Brady Bunch. While she was cozying up to Stevie J like he was some savior in shining armor, she has been publicly blaming Bambi for wrecking her son's life. However, Bambi's quiet was concealing something much deeper. She alleges that legal loopholes were intimidating her behind the scenes and pressuring her to accept blame for events beyond her control. Bambi is not being lighthearted when she claims that Stevie J's name is all over them, so let's talk about the alleged court lying. Bambi's camp claims that Stevie provided several unofficial remarks to the court using covert means, and what were the claims? Misrepresented facts, altered text messages, and even faked conversations that painted Bambi as a spiteful, cunning woman who harbored resentment toward Little Scrappy's family. One source claims that although the screenshots seemed real, the timestamps were all incorrect. It seems as though someone cut and pasted text to make her appear that way. The worst aspect is that these documents were secretly inserted into the official records without informing Bambi's legal team because of some dubious connections and alleged backdoor dealings. They weren't even intended to be submitted in court. The evidence was taken seriously by the courts. Bambi is always torn apart by it. People have been calling her the worst thing that has ever happened to Scrappy in reaction videos, TikToks, and memes, but none of them have bothered to question why she wasn't speaking up because, let's face it, in this business, quiet is guilt. Everyone who jumped on that hate train is now questioning themselves because nobody anticipated that Bambi would present not only words, but also evidence, including private direct messages, unpublished texts, and actual call logs that allegedly demonstrated Stevie J's coordination of statements with other case participants. Do you know who else shows up in those messages? Indeed, Mama D Bambi's lawyer claims that an audio recording shows him saying, "We just need her out of the way once she folds so that Scrappy can get full custody and we can clean this whole mess up." If this is accurate and we're still awaiting audio verification, it could change everything because it would not only be manipulation, but also conspiracy, obstruction, and grounds for a new trial where Stevie J himself might end up on the stand as a suspect rather than a witness. I can't believe this man has been working uncontrolled for so long, and Stevie J is literally the devil's intern. I owe Bambi an apology because she was framed. Even celebrities are voicing their opinions. According to Tamar Braxton, betrayal at this level should be criminal. That girl deserves peace. But Michelle republished the hacked text messages on her account with the question, "Who?" I always thought Bambi was too quiet for it to be the whole story. Peace. Even Scrappy, who has mostly kept quiet about this situation, shared a mysterious story just hours after Bambi's interview went viral, saying that, even if it crawls, the truth always comes out. As the dust settles from Bambi's bombshell, fans are reading between the lines and are unsure of whose side he's on anymore. But one thing is certain, the story has changed significantly because Bambi now seems to be the target of one of the dirtiest smear campaigns reality TV has ever produced. And with public opinion on her side, Stevie J may finally be held accountable for much more than just some bad behavior in the studio. However, don't think for a second that this is over, because she continued to look straight into the camera with the same controlled calm that made social media tense. He disclosed something startling that would have been unthinkable on even the side. Most nasty fan pages. You want to talk about lies? Let's speak about sealed records that weren't supposed to exist, she added in a low, icy voice. Let's talk about how Stevie J pulled strings to keep cameras out of that courtroom. Let's discuss why this man soiled my name and kept me gagged for months. It was hard to miss that change in the room, regardless of whether you were on Team Sly, Chaos, or Team Bambi. She seemed to be challenging the whole hip-hop and love production apparatus to speak up, rather than merely criticizing Stevie J. When she declared, "NDAs don't scare me anymore," a wild wave of hypotheses erupted. The real chaos started when screenshots of Bambi's alleged private direct messages from her Instagram were allegedly leaked. The internet decided that these accounts were gospel fan accounts and started searching through old episodes, pulling clips and slow-motion breakdowns that said things like, "See how Stevie J interrupted," or "Look at Bambi's face here, she knew something was up." Messages between Bambi and a VH1 production assistant were displayed in the screenshots, indicating that Stevie J had staged several programs to paint her as the antagonist while concealing problems. Then she uploaded a mystery live stream, promo to her account titled Unburied, with just a skull emoji and the time, set for Friday at 9 p.m. Let's talk about that moment when the internet stopped working. The live feed showed Bambi in a black sweatshirt sitting in a plain room with court records in her lap, and she started to go through them like receipts at a sloppy family dinner. There was no glamour or filter. Everyone seemed to want to think that Bambi had been the victim all along, but wasn't your usual victim narrative. "Holding up a page is a statement made under oath, and it's a lie," she said, focusing on January 16th, the day Stevie testified against her in the defamation counter. The chat exploded in the first 5 minutes, with over 90K people watching, live. Bambi continued, "He told the court that I made up abuse allegations and that I orchestrated a smear campaign. But what he didn't mention, and no one wants to mention, is that Stevie J was already being investigated for witness tampering. Other cast members also became silent after being ordered not to speak, so I wasn't the only one." Fans began tagging Carly Red Spice Tokyo vanities all of a sudden. Bambi remarked in a raspy, agitated voice, "I don't care what we've got to do, just make sure that courtroom footage never airs. I'm not about to get dragged into no perjury case over that girl. I don't care what we have to do, just make sure that courtroom footage never airs." Just when you thought the night couldn't get any messier, Bambi suddenly played a voice memo. Yes, a voice recording allegedly from Stevie J himself sent to an unnamed producer. People started running and slowing down the voice memo, analyzing each frame and comparing it to dropping a nuclear bomb into the middle of an already uncontrollable scandal. The damage was done, and even if it was a fake, the resemblance was uncanny. Stevie J's camp was silent for almost 48 hours, and that silence was loud. Meanwhile, little Scrappy was unprepared for what was about to happen. Remember, this man had essentially vanished from the public eye since his awkward appearance at the last reunion, when he avoided every question with a glazed stare and a forced chuckle. Now, everyone wanted to know where he stood in this war, and he made a shady repost on his Instagram stories, posting a meme of a Bambi wearing clown makeup with the caption, "When you lie so much, you forget the truth." The post immediately backfired rather than harming her reputation. He was inundated with direct comments from critics on the internet, who demanded that he justify his allegiance to Stevie J. One unnamed former assistant, who opportunistically posted a resignation letter to a gossip blog, responded to their question about what had changed by claiming that Stevie J and Bambi had been conspiring behind the scenes to have her barred from Love and Hip Hop completely. The assistant stated in the purported document that the two giggled about how easy it was to gaslight the fan in group conversations. Naturally, neither Scrappy nor Stevie addressed directly, but to exacerbate the situation, on the same day that the letter was leaked, Bambi shared a picture of an official-looking envelope with the words Fulton County Court blurred out and the caption, "You forgot who you were messing with." Within hours, fictitious documents began to circulate, alleging that Bambi had subpoenaed both Stevie J and Scrappy for a reopened case involving Stevie J and Scrappy. Fans instantly went into conspiracy mode, wondering whether she was pursuing charges, bringing her own defamation suit, or if was a part of a bigger case that might draw in network heads, executives, and producers. Nothing was confirmed. The story became viral as a result of individuals reenacting courtroom scenes on TikToks, and Bambi didn't post a single word or emoji during this entire ordeal, which just made her silence more powerful. On a live stream hosted by a popular YouTube gossip channel, an anonymous individual claiming to be a former Love and Hip Hop editor then made an unexpected appearance with their face hidden behind a hoodie. They stated that there were episodes we were forced to cut entire scenes out of scenes that would have made Bambi look sympathetic, but the narrative was whether these people were telling the truth or were simply riding the wave of power, it didn't matter because Bambi's story was no longer just hers. It had become a lightning rod for all the women on the show who had been portrayed as ungrateful, messy, or bitter. And now they were watching her go to war, and it seemed that war was coming. They had already picked her because they wanted a villain. Then more alleged insiders started to come forward, one saying that Bambi had been singled out for being too vocal, while another said that Mona Scott herself had warned her to play the game or be dropped. The industry was rocked, but Bambi stayed very quiet, posting no story updates, cryptic emojis, or story updates until Friday night. The internet went from chaotic drama to full-fledged legal warfare when Bambi's legal team confirmed that they were investigating all available legal remedies in response to defamation, character assassination, and suppression of evidence. That's lawyer speak for "we're coming for your necks." And rumor pages began claiming that VH1 executives were holding emergency meetings, and some even speculated that Mona Scott had flown to Atlanta under a false name. When Bambi returned, it was not with a tirade or a video, but with a single screenshot of an email addressed to her legal team, with the subject line, "Request for private mediation," and the sender was a high-ranking executive from the network. Fans started dissecting every word of the email, wondering if VH1 was trying to settle, if this was proof that they knew she had actual receipts, and if they were offering mediation, what exactly were they trying to hide? Bambi broke her silence again, posting a single sentence to her story, "You don't ask for peace if you've done nothing wrong." Twitter timelines immediately flooded with TikToks, and hashtags like "Justice for Bambi" exposed Stevie J and Love, and hip-hop lies trended for 48 hours straight. Listen, I don't mess with Bambi, never have, but this time I believe her, and y'all don't even know the half of it, said Erica Dixon, the real kicker, who made an appearance on Instagram Live, with her signature smirk while sipping wine. Then came an almost hour-long drunken truth bomb, in which Erica confirmed that Bambi wasn't lying, and that the production had made up a number of stories about how Stevie J had been stealing from the shadows for years. The best part, she said, was that Scrappy always knew he used to come home and complain about Stevie. Wasn't a scandal. It was a cinematic universe. She said casually, as if she weren't dropping a nuke at that point, telling producers what scenes to air. Now, fake court documents were circulating on blogs, claiming that Bambi had filed a civil suit for emotional distress, defamation, and malicious production interference, naming Stevie J as well as several producers, the network, and even some cast members as willful participants in a protracted campaign of public humiliation. Was the lawsuit real? No one could confirm it, but the streets believed it. In the meantime, Stevie J made an attempt to defend himself, posting a heavily filtered Instagram video in which he called Bambi a liar and a washed-up storyline chaser, but the damage was done. Fans of the franchise dragged him up and down in the comment section, posting clown emojis and calling him the real manipulator. They even quoted Bambi's line, "Indas don't scare me anymore," but what followed sent shockwaves through the entire reality TV world, not just Love and hip-hop fans. In an anonymous podcast interview, a former showrunner from the franchise, let's call him Rico, confirmed the existence of an internal blacklist, a literal list of cast members who were labeled difficult, non-compliant, or uncontrollable. That is those who refuse to fight on cue, expose their real trauma, or follow fake storylines. Yes, Bambi's name was on that list. The fans were shaken, the comments became investigations, the Reddit threads became exposés, and suddenly it wasn't about Bambi versus Stevie. Rather, it was about a whole system that ate up women's trauma for ratings and spit them out when they became too smart. But this time, Bambi wasn't letting them win. Rico casually revealed other names, some shocking, some obvious, of women who were abruptly removed from the show without a farewell. In a lengthy sit-down interview with a major gossip channel, she did not hold back, saying, "I spent years letting the world believe I was the problem. In reality, I was trying to survive a show that never wanted to tell my truth, and they paid Stevie to make sure I stayed one," she said, adding that producers offered Stevie J bonuses for each cast member he could turn against her, that some of the confessionals were reshot weeks later, and that they rehearsed, and edited to frame her as irrational. When she attempted to leave, they threatened to sue her for breach of contract and publicly ruin her reputation. The next day, there was a significant change in public relations. VH1 quietly removed several old videos from their YouTube channel that depicted Bambi as violent or insane, as if they had never happened. Fans quickly noticed and questioned why the network was that Bambi's team was in preliminary negotiations with the network to settle behind closed doors. Bambi responded, "In her story, there will be no silence, we're going all the way." At this point, people started betting on who would be subpoenaed, and fan pages started making timelines, charts, and witness trees that looked like an FBI investigation. "You think Bambi is lying?" Little Scrappy's own cousin remarked in a since-deleted Facebook post. "I recall that Scrappy informed Mama D that Mona had threatened to remove Bambi from the program unless she kept her on a leash. They now wanted to play the innocent, and Mama D was dragged back into the fray." Supporters bombarded her comments, clamoring for clarification. "Let's just say that she didn't dispute what I had told them years prior. Messing with that boy Stevie would bring the devil to your front door." She went live the following day while drinking tea and sat on the couch with her dog in her lap. The devil is trying to get in. By the end of the week, this had evolved into a movement rather than merely a reality TV incident. Celebrities began to voice their opinions, petitions were organized, and think pieces were produced. When everyone a full documentary. Tokyo Vanity tweeted, "This is why I walked away." Amber Rose shared the film on her Instagram story. The Bambi Stories video, including behind-the-scenes videos, unpublished confessionals, emails, receipts, and more, was framed by the title. In just 2 days, the trailer and its slogan, "You watched the show, now it's time to see the truth," garnered over 1 million views. Are already calling it hip-hop and surviving love. And you can bet that the business is freaking out because Bambi isn't just expressing her views, she's going to shake things up totally. The issue is now, how many more voices are being silenced? How many stories are twisted and turned into drama while the real pain stays hidden? How many other truths have been covered up? We've seen the drama and the laughs, but maybe we were never meant to see the real truth now that Bambi has dropped those secrets that will shake everything. It's more than just a reality show, it's a struggle.